All right, I think we're all set. And now we're in business. Oh, whoops, I completely forgot to do the thing. There we go. Oh boy, please, I beg you, if you exist, be on the first time. Nope. There you go. Hello? All right. Finally got a stream in real time. Well, congrats to you. All right. Yeah, it's amazing how many different people get to do it when I'm actually streaming, you know, not late at night for the first time in a while. All right, I'm convinced you cannot get volcano stones from these guys. I have gotten so many sanctuary stones. I'm starting to think it's just supposed to be up here, and I feel like that's probably was a mistake on the dev's part. But whatever, we will try again. Oh, yeah. I get myself turned around every time. Oh, there you are. Yeah, you know what? If I could do it, it's probably better to do it on horseback. A little harder to get the items back, but yeah, like if sanctuary stones are like 4% and volcano stones are 8%, like they're saying, I had to have gotten it at some point. But I know that when it comes to actual volcano stone one, it takes forever. So God knows if I actually have it. Oh, well, at least I'll never run out of rune fragments again when this is all done. Maybe we should switch to the other one if I'm convinced that this one doesn't have it. Switch, see if the ones by the stupid height. Oh God, that almost got me. By the stupid Everjail might have it. All right, there we go. Ah, there you are. You know what? Making my life easier. We kill you all, then we loot you all. There we go. Still don't see the volcano stone. Oh my God. There we go. Nope. Yeah, let's switch over. I get the feeling it does not exist. I get the feeling it does not exist in this group. So the question then, what about this group? Because this group is technically also right above the abandoned cave. Oh boy. Yeah, we know, dragon. This one might be annoying to go back and pick up. Yeah, because I could accidentally miss it. God forbid. God help me if I somehow miss. Yeah, I should just do this one on foot. That'd be simpler. Is Loki aura farming plus shattering plus mocking? Oh God, I don't understand what all of you youngins are saying anymore. What are all these elite speak words? Out of curiosity, how do you decide what order to tackle lore stuff for Elden Ring? There's so much stuff. That's a good question. Vibes. I usually throw out a poll on the Twitter, not using the new name, so that way you know, I can, you know, get some feedback from the community, my community, what you guys want from me. But generally speaking, it's just purely what I feel like writing about, right? Like I did the, like, my official stuff on Elden Ring technically started when I did a 60-page Godfrey doc, which is now, if I had it compiled now, it'd be a lot more than 60 pages, because it was kind of just like me trying to get all my thoughts about like the overall Godfrey era and the timeline and stuff like that. And then that eventually, I split that up and took each of the little things, expanded, properly gave its attention or whatever, and now it's more or less become all the different articles I have on the website, you know, and that took a while to do. But like God Hunts, for example, was the one that I never thought I would be getting done within the next few years, because I just didn't want to go through the very boring process of essentially repeating what everyone else says about the Godskins and all that. It's like, oh wow, I think Melena's the Glowmite Queen. It's like, wow, seriously? Crazy. I've never heard that before. Wow. Not very 6'7" of you. Oh my fucking god. Why is it 6'7"? Why isn't it 7'6"? I mean, 7'6" is bigger than 6'7". I'm just saying. I get the feeling that everyone's just... Oh, why the frick am I in there? I think we're all missing out on the good stuff. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so, like, when it comes to, like, Elden Ring content and stuff like that, I try to, like, you know, just go with whatever I feel like I wanna tackle, which is why I have so much incomplete Elden Ring content, because it's like, I got a bit of Astrologers, I got a bit of Nox, I got a whole heckin' lot of Farm Azula. God help me when that thing gets finished, that monstrosity. Honestly, I would not be surprised if I end up splitting it up in two. I might pull a Sullivan. I just might. It is so obnoxiously big. Or it's going, well, I should clarify. It's going to be so obnoxiously big when we actually get the Bale stuff at it. Like, holy hell. That thing is going to go well past 30 pages. I don't know if it'll hit the magical 50 pages of Sully, but... Sully plus Irithyll. Man, was that time. Alright, that's all of them, right? Yep. God, this is dull! Please, someone! Someone with a cheat engine or something, like, make my life easier. Just confirm for me that these things 100% don't drop from them. It's only the one cluster. Let's see. Reminds me, I kind of hate that we lost the Glowmite Knight for the Putrescent Knight. I mean, I'm fine with it. I did think we needed more Glowmite Queen lore. I'll be honest. I thought all the... I think death lore in general, we have more than enough stuff as it is. So I was more than happy that we had a little bit of break from that. Though I guess you could argue whether or not we really got a break, because what did we get? Like deep sleep, right? Instead. Oh wow, an eternal sleep. You mean death? So like you could kind of say that it was the monkey's paw for me. Oh god. This is one of those streams where I wish I had a text I wanted to review. I wish I had a document. Please, I beg you. Yeah, we at least got Godwin's Night thing for those that really wanted the more Godwin lore. And I will say, I think it's probably the better lore that we could have gotten, considering it's just like, oh yeah, here's helping fill in some potential plot holes and stuff. So it's like, oh, that's nice. There you go. There we go. Oh, I'm dead. I need to start counting these guys just so I know when I kill them all. There we go. Anyway, so like when it comes to like Elden Ring stuff and all that, I mean, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I'm not going to pretend I'm anywhere near competent enough to what's the word? Not cover it, but you know, actually be able to explain it, I guess, in totality. I'm very much a journeyman at this point, and boy, is it going to be a long journey. Like, holy hell, is this one going to be a long journey. There we go. All right. All right, I can't do this anymore. I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy. There's just way too much just to try to prove a negative here. Let's switch to one where I feel like I just might have missed the opportunity, because dumbass wiki keeps claiming that there are these stupid guys on Gelmir, and I keep saying like, no, they're not. So now I'm checking to see if they meant these guys or something. Where's the, there we go. There we go. That's not a volcano stone. Did you guys have to be so spread out? Another sanctuary stone. The thing is, I can't complain either being like, oh my god, I've gotten so many sanctuary stones, because last time I did this, I didn't get those volcano stones until I got like 2 in a row after like so many goddamn tries. So either I am the most unlucky son of a bitch, or these things just don't exist on these guys, because I just keep getting sanctuary stones before I get a single volcano stone. Anyway, do you think the team intend to show Godwin's lore going somewhere? It felt kind of abrupt to me that we got some new lore with the Death Knights and how Godwin's corruption in this DLC. No! I think that was probably just them kind of like, you know, going through and being like, oh, what can we do to like expand or develop on this or what have you. And they kind of thought of the idea of the concept of Godwin having his own personal guard, which they could use as a vehicle to be able to fill in some of the holes on the transition to the larger knighthood and stuff from what Godwin was doing with, what's his name, Fortisax. And then, obviously, transition then to the whole question about, okay, well, about the Knight of the Black Knives, all that stuff, and then what about after the aftermath and things of that nature. So, overall, I'm very happy with what they got, and I think it's more than sufficient, considering that I would have been happy getting nothing. So no, I don't think the devs had any like big ambition or whatever for Godwin or anything, because as I've always said, I think the community has long overrated Godwin's importance to especially the narrative of Mikola, but to the narrative overall. Like, dude's cool and all, but he ain't that important. I think there's a reason that the biggest thing the biggest relevance he has to the narrative is the fact that he's dead. Him dying's more important than his life. Hey, Macaroni. Good to see you. Like, sure, I don't think they intended Godwin as the final boss of the DLC, but it seems weird that it goes nowhere. Again, I don't think it's that it goes nowhere. Again, one of the things we have to, I think a lot of people have, is that they tend to, like, kind of, like, put meaning or, like, expectations into something where it's like, oh, this has to be going, like, somewhere major or whatever. Where oftentimes, like, the narrative importance and significance tends to be in, like, the subtler things, right? So again, I think the point of the Death Knights, particularly in the narrative regarding the realm of Shadow, is to establish a few things. One, a faction that has been to the realm of Shadow, completely separate from anything involving Mikola or any of that other stuff, right? Like these guys these guys effectively either found their own way or managed to get America to take him in there, and I highly doubt that one, before she went, you know, cuckoo and broke the ring after Godwin's death, which again, I think just based on timing is unlikely. So I think that is something that's very significant to help establish for like just giving it like a wider baseline in the lore with the Realm of Shadow. You know, that's not like, you know, no one has been here before Miquella, which is relevant when we get to like characters like Gaius. And then we have stuff like the entire catacomb thing and them kind of going in there, giving us a sense of the different death faces and stuff to help give us some elaboration on the face we see in Stormvale Castle and stuff like that, as well as give an explanation for why stuff like Godwin's Royal Knights and stuff like that are not around in the main game when they're like part of this cult thing. So like, again, I think there's a lot of like narrative weight, but it tends to not be in like the, oh, we're building up to some like big what's the word, like faction or reveal or anything. It's usually like kind of marginal stuff that helps with the world building and just kind of adds to the wider narrative. That's how I see it, at least. There we go. Oh yeah. Speaking of, since we're talking about wider narratives and all that, I have officially come out with the thesis on the Shattering. And now that is done, I've gotten, what is it, Night of the Black Knives, Orders Breaking, and the Shattering all together. The only thing missing from that lineup is probably Death Prince. Ironic, since we're... but, like, yeah, I don't know when we'll cover Godwin. I think Godwin's going to be the new God Hunts, where I'm like, oh my god, there is some, I will say this, there is some good stuff with the Godwin thing that I would kind of like to talk about, specifically stuff like with Castle Soul, not the thing you're thinking of. And maybe I can get some kind of entertainment out of like going through the stuff with the Tibia guys, maybe. But like for the most part, I think that one's gonna be one where I kind of hold off, because I don't think we really need the deep dive on the Skelly Bros. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right, I'm gonna give this one more shot. If it doesn't appear, I'm just gonna assume it's not there until somebody shows me otherwise. Because I am tired of losing my mind doing this task. Like, come on, I'm not even freaking dying in hilarious fashion doing this. At the very least, I can get some laughs at my own expense. Nope. This poor Altus Bloom, I keep picking it. Yeah, like, so in the context of the DLC, I feel like what's most, I think is most important to figuring out is probably whether or not, like, the whole Radon and Miquella relationship thing was always intended, which I've said before. I am willing to believe that was somewhere in Martin's notes on the backstory of the relationships for characters and stuff, and that was always the reason that Miquella basically sent Melania to fight Radon or whatever. Like, I am willing to buy that, right? But I think that's probably like the bigger question is like, you know, what exactly was intentional and stuff like that, and what was kind of retrofitted. I guess you could also throw the Shaman Village there, right? Again, I'm not going to claim that I have I know every theory that's like going around the community, but I'm pretty sure everybody more or less had a theory regarding America being part of the there we go, being associated at least with Eternal City or something beforehand, right? Now, I am totally willing to be wrong about that, and that and being like, oh no, that was actually never the original intention, and there was idea that there was some missing village along with the missing Realm of Shadows. Again, I am willing to buy that was always part of the lore and stuff like that. But again, how much of that is true and stuff? How much was it changed? Like how did that how did Nox lore and stuff before release to the final game got affected and all that stuff? That's what I think is more significant to figuring out, like, you know, were they building up to something else for these narratives, and then, like, you know, plans changed when the time came to actually fill in all the holes that were left with the final game. It's another reason why I would love for Miyazaki to have Martin's prose printed. Again, I don't know what the legal rights and all that stuff would be, or if he'd even be ever willing to do that, but I think it would be really nice if at some point, Ideally, before the man kicks the bucket, we actually get to read what exactly was the basis for Elden Ring. Especially if we're getting a film that's going to touch on that stuff at all. Because I get the sneaking suspicion that if there are any discrepancies between what the games present and what the new Elden Ring film is going to present, that it's going to drive everybody up a hole. It's going to just lead to endless debates. It's canon. No, it's not canon. It's a retcon. No, it's going to be... Oh, God, I can already hear it. All right, so we got all that covered. How many of these stupid things do I got? Oh, my. I still have 99 here. Oh, no. Crafting. There we go. Oh, my. Woo. Woo. I never have to worry about running out of these, at least. All right, so I'm gonna do this as one last check to prove the wiki wrong, because I know this. I know I'm not crazy here. I am absolutely convinced. Yeah, we don't have these things here. Oh. Did they fall before? Okay, no, more. Okay, okay. Yeah, these guys came out, and it's right by where the... Okay, yeah. Ow! Ow. Alright, so... Definitely no stupid rockworm boys. None here, obviously none here. I want to go to a new character for this one. Uh-huh. Yeah, I think I might want to go to another character if I ever want to get shots for this one. You know, originally I was thinking this guy would be like an affiliate for Volcano Manor, who somehow or other ends up embedding himself in Morgoth's stuff. But no, I think this guy legitimately was just Morgoth's predecessor as Praetor and just kind of wants to, like, quote-unquote assassinate him now. Like, he's got this hard-on for revenge for the guy replacing him as Lord. But yeah, there's nothing up there that I'm gonna want to take a look at. Oh. Ow. All right, we go here. Uh-huh. Nothing really special about this that we haven't already gone in. Again, we just got the demi-humans here. Demi-humans. We got the singular room bear. Also, if room bears are indications of dragons, I'm thinking that... There we go. I'm thinking that... Oh, I never realized. Well, that's actually kind of neat. I'm so used to seeing the generic stuff there. I didn't see it. Like, oh, cool. They have like a little unique little thing here. Huh. Cool. It's the same rock we see. I could have swore, don't we see? Oh, I forget if this was like, because I think it might be the same rock we see over here, right? Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. Because we see like the sulfur and stuff, right? With like the heated rocks and things. So I was wondering if that'd be the same thing. Yeah, coolio. Never considered it. Something to consider if in case I need to add it to Gelmir. All right. Yeah, nothing else around here except for the virgins, the headless virgin. Then we go over here and we get attacked by wolves. God knows why, they just come flying in on the wind. They're just magical creatures like that, I guess. This we all know is the cannibalism section. So nothing else there. About our pumpkinhead boy here. No Graphin Psi on this side. Oh, sorry about that. There are marionettes. We got these Rykard banners. Yeah, it's the same exact rock type. Okay, cool. Cool, cool. These guys would normally like shoot our boy dead. Uh-huh. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we got the mini marionettes over there. Yeah, and then these guys, our frenzy boys. And then, of course, we move on, and there's the falling star beast. Yeah, so none of this is those stupid worms like the wiki was saying. All right, double check in here. God, I forget if there was any significance to the demi-human queen here. I'm pretty sure the demi-humans have a different loot table, right? So all that's consistent. All right, here we go. Uh-huh. There we are. Oh. There we are. Oh, wait, I can't even get out of here. Yeah, I don't remember if there was anything special to say about this demi-human queen here, right? Because we have the other one who at the very least is working with the academy sorcerers and seems to have been granted her sorcery stuff in exchange for helping them with the assault on the hermit village, which is like, okay, sure. Don't know how you got past Fort Light, but whatever. This one though, this one just goes crazy, I think, right? I don't remember if the eyes are anything important for that. Again, the idea of oh, you know what? I think the importance would probably just be to clarify sorcerers along with the hemicyclium we see with the falling star beast, that sorcerers have been doing stuff up there on Gelmir. That might be the main importance thing, is just to highlight. Oh god, I have no idea where we're going. A little bit of crystal here. It's rather interesting how with all the water flowing out and some of the glintstone, or crystals I should say, that we find and everything, I'm surprised how little we really get. Well, when it comes to sorcery, my cats keep fighting. Well, that's how cats are, you know? They do their own thing. This isn't where I want to be. Here we go. At the 9th campsite. Friend has been here a long time. I can't with them. Listen, I know how it feels. This puppy of mine has been driving me crazy as well. At least she's kind of calming down because of her heat cycle, kind of. It really kind of depends at the time of day. Marionettes, I'm pretty sure we don't encounter like, I don't think they're inside Volcano Manor. Pretty sure it's all people, slugs, bats, abductor virgins, of course. So heading down this way. Yeah, of course. Oh god, no. Just no bull here. Uh-huh. You're a Lanedale soldier. You're a Lanedale soldier. You're a Lanedale. Yeah, I don't want to forget you guys. You guys are still there. There we go. Why is your stomach like that? Is it similar to trolls? Oh, you mean the demi-human queen? I don't think she's that similar to trolls, but let me check. Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily trolls. I think that's just really kind of emaciated type thing. Right? Maybe I'm wrong here. Hello? There we go. There we go. Oh. That's what we wanted. There we go. Yeah, trolls have more like root-like to them. This one seems like someone's just emaciated to the point the internal organs are kind of like pressing against the rest of the body, you know? I guess the bigger question is, why is it all purpley and you know, fucked up, right? Unless the idea is supposed to be like their wombs have shriveled or something. I don't know. I don't think that's how that works. Like the idea being that they no longer can be mothers, maybe? I guess the real question would be, why do the demi-human queens that we see go mad? I don't think there's a demi-human king we ever meet, right? It's only queens. Yeah, I know. I know with you. So many Langdale soldier bodies just strewn about. Ugh. Yeah, I never really considered if these could not be Morgoth's horses and instead be Rykard's. I don't think that makes much sense though, because I don't see why why Morgoth's forces would be taking the time to string him up, right? Like it makes more sense, I think, to Rykard to send the message. Riddle me this. Sulfur killing the tree. Flowers doing just fine. I swear, flowers are like the cockroaches of this universe. They just keep multiplying. You can't kill them. They'll survive a freaking nuclear blast. Yeah, then we got more of these marionette guys. And finally... Yeah, I thought about motherhood as well. Yeah, that's the only thing that really comes to my mind when I see that. Yeah, okay, yeah, this has to be the first camp. Okay, so they go up through Seething River, establish a presence on Light, establish a presence in Dominul, or the Hermit Village, I should say. Establish the first camp here. Attempt to make the push up this way and establish a connection this way with the bridge. I could also explain the that could also explain the rope bridge here. Obviously, clearly, they took the effort for here, but over here they did not. It's like a side route almost. This also makes more sense that this area was basically a dead end. Because it makes sense. The idea would be to quickly establish a connection this way, so that way they can send weapons and stuff over this route. Yeah, makes sense to me. I guess the idea was to have the other coughing carriage go this way to reinforce the forces there in the southwest. And over here in the northwest area, they were doing their own separate, their own little separate thing. And still, nothing. Connects to America's womb being pierced. I'm not sure if the intent was to pierce Mariko's womb per se, more or less, you know, just do the Christ thing and just have her be pierced or, you know, strung up in general. You know, leave her hanging. Yeah. Do I have one second, chat? I need to get myself some water. Stay hydrated, chat. Ah! Yeah, we have this here. Yeah, that makes more sense to me. Also, I never realized that this thing swings regardless of... Ah! I was like, I don't remember if you could fall off these things or not. Now I know. You can, in fact, fall off these things. Okay, yes, that answers most of the questions I would have there. Is like, there are none of these stupid worm things, unless they're hiding somewhere inside a Volcano Manor that I have never in my life ever found. There should be nothing. Nothing. Yeah, okay. Everything else we've already covered essentially. Yeah, and then over here there should be nothing, so nothing in here, nothing up here for sure, nothing in Dominula, nothing in Capital Outskirts. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's nothing here. Nothing on this hill for sure. Nothing down here. So yeah, I don't think there's any. I think the only ones we find are in Sealed Tunnel and over here at Godefroy's Everjail. I think that's the only two clusters there. All right, road to Manors this way. The ravine. Yeah. We got the room bears, of course, on this side. We had the one room bear over there. We had one over there. I'm pretty sure that's the only one in this entire area. Yeah, I don't think we have any more here. Yeah, okay, so I think I have Altus more or less. Like, I feel like I've Altus almost exhaustively covered. Like, there's obviously still the Moog stuff. And then, of course, Gelmir's its own thing, right? But it's kind of still Altus, right? Kinda. My cats always drink water from my cup. Oh my god, yeah, my pupper has this thing where she will try to go straight for, like, she doesn't care about like the water that you pour into the bowl from the cup. She wants it straight from the cup. It's like, no, I'm sharing. You're not allowed to have mine. She just really likes streams of water, though. It's a really weird tick of hers. They don't know you're leaving it, so they stay hydrated. Hey, whatever keeps them happy and healthy, you know? Whatever it takes. Yeah, and then abductor virgins, we have one here, one here. I forget if there are any more in Liurnia. Obviously, we have the whole cave full of them in Caelid, the one outside the cave. We have one in the sealed tunnel, one in, oh, well, more like 2 or 3, I think, in total in the fortified manor. I think Limgrave has 0, right? I'm pretty sure there are none in the entirety here. Obviously, Volcano Manor and Mount Gelmir in general have the most. Oh, yeah, Castle Redmane also has one, right? Yeah. It's also got one. So, one, another up here, a whole cave full of them over there. Limgrave has basically 0. It has a lot of room bears, which tells you those are a lot of dead dragons. That's a lot of dragons eaten. We have one in Earthbore Cave. Yeah. Caelid, we have one freaky one over here. And the one normal room bear in the Dragon Barrow Cave when things are still not as freaky. Oh, does it not respawn? Oh, no, there it is. I was about to be like, who had this thing not respawning? I think someone said you find another one of these exact ones. I think it's the Mimic tier or something, right? That does that. And then we have a few of them in general around here, which again makes sense because dragons. Not on the actual mountaintops proper, to my memory. Yes, that more or less would answer all my questions regarding that. There's still quite a bit to do with Limgrave and Weeping Peninsula. We have, of course, Stormhill and the ferry connection, and the nomadic swordsman, I think is. Yeah, I think it's the nomadic swordsman. I hate room bears, don't we all? Over here, yeah, still some sorcerer stuff. Astrologer is gonna be a nice one when I actually write that one out, and that one also like basically tied with shattering, so. That's another one that I should probably be thinking of working on prioritizing. All right, I have a crazy idea, chat. Because I have been thinking about the reasons. I've been trying to think about the reasons for the trail. Oh. There we go. For the trail here. I think I got it. I'm thinking that the Godskin Noble we fight up here, I think he actually came up here and he was actually killing, because we got to start with 2, then the one here, then you have the little trail here, right? 1, 2, and then a whole group of them, and then it stops. I'm thinking the idea is that the Godskin Noble, part of the reason why we fight him when we do, and it's not just convenient timing, is he goes around and he's, you know, kind of slaughtering his way through a bunch of these stupid stoneworm guys who had been coming up here. Because we do see them. We do see them over here. Under the bridge. So them just being at the bridges in general is not that weird. And they, of course, always drop a rune fragment or a sanctuary stone, which is what we generally see there. It's mostly rune fragments with the occasional sanctuary stone. So if all of that is true, I get the feeling that the idea is supposed to be conveying that like a bunch of them went up there, but they've been killed, and you know they're leaving behind the traces with the rune fragments you would normally get from them. Was it not here? Oh, it's further down. Okay, it's even further down. Yeah, it's around here-ish. Yeah, you get one of them here. Should be another worm boy here, but you get like a cluster that explodes here. There we go, this guy here. Ah, there we go. Yeah, there's this guy here. Ah, damn, I think I lost my chance. I thought that was a good good angle too. Oh, I guess we'll switch over considering I don't need you anymore. We'll switch over so I can get that shot. But the point is, like, we have a few of these guys hanging around the bridge. So it makes me think, okay, maybe they kind of slunk their way. Is it slunk or slinked? I guess both work. You know, kind of slink their way up the bridge, I feel. Oh, wait, that's not it. My bad, my bad. My bad, wrong one. Let's go for more Master Shack. Why do wolves fall from the air though? Hell if I know. They just seem to ride like the wind. Ah, there you are. There you are. Oh, there we go. There we are. Yeah, we don't want to. There we go. I don't want them to be faded out there. Oh, I'm in the shot. Gotta prevent that. There we go. There we go. All right, cool. Never got a shot of that side. Okay, yeah, we've been here before. So yeah, I'm thinking the ones up the tower are supposed to be more of them, and they're probably like, you know, a bunch of guys that got killed before the Godskin noble went after us. I think it's the best explanation because there are no ruins in the area, and it doesn't make sense for like a bunch of fragments just kind of end up there and only there, right? Like there has to be something or someone with the fragments to bring them, and the only ones I can think of are in fact the little wormy boys, our little stone worm guys. Now let's see. Yeah, nothing else really there. I wonder when From Software's next game will be like. What's your favorite game for them? Which is my favorite? Probably Dark Souls 1. I'm gonna always be biased for that one, I feel. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it has to go to Dark Souls 1. There's definitely stuff I like about something I like about Dark Souls 3, of course, as well. And of course, Demon Souls and Bloodborne also have a special place. But I feel like Dark Souls 1 is always just going to be like, man, just overall, the interconnectivity. I never mind the slowness to the combat. I always thought it was perfect. That feel when you're like kind of like lost and like going around trying to figure things out. Like just in general, I feel like it's the one with the best balance of stuff. All right, so I can't think of anything else that I want to be grabbing right now. I feel like we're done here. Yeah, we'll see if in the, because I have no idea. I'm still working on Bloodborne with Loran and stuff like that. I don't know when though that's gonna actually be finished. I don't know like when Astrologers will be finished either. So I don't know if we're gonna, like, I have a lot of outlines and stuff for a bunch of different topics. So I don't know if I'll do more of those so I can have all of them basically laid out with like data collection and stuff for the future. Cause like there's still like Ancient Civ and Ancient Dynasty. That's a big stuff. I may just watch, we may do some more like casual kind of like, you know, low-key looks at different lore stuff or whatever, see if there's anything interesting or you know, insightful that I haven't had a chance to consider before with some of this stuff. Like I said, it's a lot to go through. I'm not sure if I have all the information that I need to solve the puzzle that is stuff like Ancient Civ and Dynasties. OMG, I was so disappointed in DS1. Everyone around me was saying how good it is, and I don't know what I expect. I can't speak for anybody, but you know, I mean, I was kind of like vaguely aware of like the existence of Demon Souls, but I couldn't tell you I knew anything about it. Like Dark Souls is the first one I actually kind of understood what it is, because generally speaking, chat, I don't follow advertisements. I think I've watched more like ads and like Game Award shows and stuff in the last few years than I probably have in my entire life, just because of well, mostly Acer, just, you know, hanging out with Acer and stuff like that, but just, you know, in general figuring out you know, like what's going on, anything from software related we might be grabbing. But yeah, so like when I got through in DS1, like it was quite a hassle. I do remember like almost breaking when it came to the depths. Like that was the one where I was like, I got myself that's a whole story for another time, but I got myself lost in the depths in the dumbest way possible, and it was driving me absolutely loony. I was gonna snap, but you know, then I figured out what I was doing wrong, and then like from there moved my way along and had a, yeah, just really enjoyable. And of course, even before I did the deep dives, I always had an enjoyment for the lore and stuff like that. That was partially the reason that I found that you know, I think like it's very weird because you go from like the high that's DS1 to DS2, and I'm just like, oh god, just kill me. Like such a soul-sucking experience. Like thank God for DS3, or else I would have never. God, my life would be so much more different. I would have never gotten into any of this. God, it's crazy to think about how close I was to having nothing to do with Dark Souls entirely. Or From Software in general. Actually, you know, I can't say that. Probably when Fires of Rubicon would have been announced, I'd be like, woo, yeah, a play Armored Core! And I'd be like, oh, it's those people who made that shitty DS2. What a fucking piece of work these guys are. What had happened? So, yeah, that probably would have been, me for the... Would have probably been me if I hadn't gotten, if I hadn't gone a redemption arc for Dark Souls. But Dark Souls 1 I've always loved, so... Can't quite say I relate to any disappointment. Sorry to tell you. Yeah, nothing else we really want here from Limgrave or anything. Like, I've covered Limgrave so extensively at this point. Like, it really is just like any of the Ancient Civ and Dynasty related stuff, because otherwise this land is pretty much clear. Oh, I don't remember if... Yeah, I don't remember if I covered the Farm Azula stuff with Ancient Dragon War, with like the different beastmen. I have to double check that now. I get why people like it. Yeah, everyone's gonna have their preferences, obviously, but for me, like, I would kill to have another world like Dark Souls. It's a shame that I feel like the interconnectedness of their world is like probably accidental to them. Like, I don't think From Software have ever realized what gold they struck with DS1. Granted, I felt the same way when it came to vaulting in Demon Souls. I just felt like it was so underutilized in the game itself, but I wish they kind of kept it for Dark Souls and beyond. I had that with ER. I just knew it was good, but I didn't know how the bosses worked and what Souls-like is. My first 7 hours was just running around the world without Torrent, of course. 7 hours without Torrent is interesting. I have to go back and check my Let's Play, because I don't remember how far I got before I got Torrent. I think it was... I'm pretty sure it was at the gate, right? I think it was over here is where I got Torrent, because I just kept going, like, forward and around and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I have to go back. It's so weird, because I have done so much playing of Elden Ring, both for and not for the Let's Play, like, just kind of, like, having like a mix of both and all that stuff, that my memory is completely shot on what my original playthrough was even like what my first time experience is. I guess I should be glad that I streamed it. Otherwise I would have absolutely no recollection of how any of that went. Like, I could tell you my Dark Souls experience, I could tell you my DS2 experience for sure. I can even tell you my DS3 experience, because again, it was like, oh, the wash of relief. But Elden Ring all just kind of blends together in my head. I guess there's only so many times you can go through the same opening, the same areas, the same everything, trying to mine it for lore before, like, you know, the experience becomes more of like an like a 3D encyclopedia than an actual, like, you know, game that you're doing. That is most certainly a thing. I'm pretty sure there's no room bears in this stupid little patch. It's just wolves and stuff, right? So... yeah. Nothing crazy here, so there's nothing really to cover. Yeah, so I feel like when it comes to Limgrave, it's just focus on the Ancient Civ, Nomadic Warriors, the fairies, that type of thing. For astrologers, I was looking at Nardi's doc she compiled for items and stuff like that. From what I can tell, it doesn't look like there's that much that's relevant to astrologers, funnily enough. Like, there's the expected stuff like, oh my god, there's freezing grease down in Liurnia, just like there is up here in the mountaintops, right? Like, that's, you know, basic bitch stuff. But as far as like any like interesting details or tidbits, there really isn't beyond the ruins. Like I guess you could say there's some stuff here with the Castle Soul thing. And like the Albinorix here, but like it's really minor with Ordinus. Like it basically, I don't feel like I learned anything new beyond what I already expected I would know from this stuff. I don't know if I saw anyone talk about this, but I'm pretty sure America's hair wasn't gold from the beginning. It was either red or white. I'll be honest, I've not put much thought into what America's hair color was at any point in her life, beyond obviously what it currently is, which is gold. Could America's hair be red or white? I don't think red makes much sense to me, I'll be honest. I just don't think so. And the only thing I can think of that could possibly be used to justify her having red hair is the story trailer, and like that's just blonde hair in sunset colors. Like that's just how hair works. What do you make of the apostate derelict? Is that related anyway? Related to the Stargazer village in Ordina here? No. As I cover in my giant war analysis, I think the idea was this. Where do we start? So Godfrey and crew are probably already getting attacked by this direction. They probably already have at least some force. But anyway, basically, they're coming here to make their big assault on the giants, right? They got to make their way to the giants. But blocking their way is Castle Soul trying to outmaneuver them. So Castle Soul sends a detachment, and their detachment bases themselves over in Ordina and basically sets up defenses leading up here. Now, Godfrey and crew, they do their thing. Right? They do their thing. And kill all the soldiers and stuff. And because this is forbidden... Oh, there we go. And because this is forbidden lands and stuff, these weapons were never cleaned up in the post-battle or whatever, because barely anyone's coming through here. Maybe the occasional merchant and supply cart is coming around here, but basically this place has basically been, kind of left a stranded battlefield, right? So you essentially have some of the banished knights and stuff that are getting defeated and killed and yada, 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 right? All that jazz. And that leads them over here, and then they start building their fancy lift to get, them and their whole army up there and stuff like that. At the same time, they're of course also preparing, burials and stuff in the future. And that's where we tie things into the apostate derelict and everything, because I think what most likely happened was that before Godfrey and crew decided they would go up, they would go down, they would deal with the forces in Ordina. God, I screwed myself up here, didn't I? Anyway, so they were gonna deal with the... Stop, go away. They were gonna deal with the forces down here in Ordina, so instead of going up the lift, they went down the lift. They made their way over here. They ended up clashing with the Farum Soul folks outside of town and all that stuff. Where are we going? Here we go, right? And once that was all done and accounted for, once that battle was over, everything was set. They obviously took over Ordina, built the apostate derelict, so that way some of the priests could be left behind to watch over Ordina and stuff to make sure they behave while they were gone. And the sorcerers from Ordina and stuff, the Nox, the star astrologers, all that crew, they basically got roped in to constructing the catacomb for the burial of all these dead and stuff like that, right? Hence the sorcery stuff and the various things and the stray mimic tier and all of that jazz, right? So all that there connected. Oh, of course, the magic invisible platforms and things, like just a bunch of different stuff, right? King Alon sent me here. Is that so? I am. I can't believe Alant has been a supporter of my channel. Man, what a great guy. Shame about what happened to him in the whole demon thing, you know? Really sucks. He had such a bright future ahead of him. I hope this doesn't set him back too hard. Anyway, so I think the apostate derelict has basically zero to do with anything regarding Ordina and astrologers as far as like their relationship with each other is concerned. I think it's mostly just kind of existed there to be essentially like a monitoring outpost by America's priesthood or whatever, because obviously, as we know, America's priests were with her and with Godfrey's armies for this big thing with the giants. And then after Godfrey had basically handled the stuff down here, they then moved north, and we know the path. You know, they had to build the road, the stupid toothy road to get across this way and things like that. They had another big battle here and all of that with the Soul people. So, you know, I guess when you have to take your time to build yourself a giant road across, your enemies can start building their defenses and stuff. But as, again, like I said last time, we see that they doesn't really matter. Godfrey's forces end up winning and pushing themselves through. It's now just kind of ruins a battlefield. Then they go around this way. They slaughter everybody that's trying to stop them going here. They slaughter the Stargazer village. They go to Castle Soul. They force Niall to heal, and he ends up having to sacrifice his leg, probably for Godfrey, as an exchange. That way Godfrey America will let him and his knights live. And then we know what happened to the giants and stuff here that got buried. And then, of course, moving on, we go First Church America, establish the Guardian Garrison using the new slave labor you have. Oh, yeah, let's not forget sorcerers. Once again, surviving sorcerers get sent over to Seoul under the new occupied, help build the giants. Where is it? Oh, I haven't opened it here, but, you know, the giants mountaintops catacombs here. But anyway, the point is like, you know, all the big battle happens here. They do so, giants defeated, heroes grave, catacombs get built, yada yada yada. America executes all the giants, blah blah blah, you know. Do you think the priests changed their allegiance to the Trina faith given the abundance of Trina lilies near the derelict? Maybe they could just also just be dead. It goes either way. For me, the biggest question mark is here. It depends on what the intention for the statues over this way are. Yeah, here we go. Because we have, of course, they have 3 of them in total, which is always hard because, well, 3s are very relevant in the cases of Karia. But this witch statue, in most cases, seems to just be a generic representation of Renala, though, again, we do see it used sometimes representing other type of female sorcerer warriors, and or in pairs of 3s can also represent just the 3, Renala and her 2 sisters in general. So it's like, again, there are some flexibility. Obviously, we have the case where it represents Melania when we're at Shaded Castle, along with the other, you know, copy-paste statues that are brought over there, right? Part of, you know, Crazy Man, who's like got his little Melania fetish and all that stuff. So like, this for me is like, is this supposed to represent something Karia related? Like there's some connection to the Karians that got brought over to Ordina at some point, and this kind of has just been persisted? Or is this supposed to be like, in this context, a representation of Trina, right? Are they using that asset as a way to kind of give the idea of like, oh, this is about the new faith of Trina? Because if that is the case, and the idea is like you have this major conversion where like, you know, they're building this fancy ass bridge and stuff that'll lead you to the Halig tree, right? They're building, you know, obviously they're letting the what are they called? Oh, it doesn't, is it? Oh no, it's over here. They're letting the apostate derelict be used for the Albinorix little thing with their little older sister and all that. So like all of that is like part of like some organized effort. Then yes, I can see the potential for the actual priests or whoever was in charge of the apostate derelict for this all this time to be essentially converts to the Trina worship or something related to Mikola at the very least. Yeah, the 3 sisters, like again, that's kind of the question, is like, you know, how should we, like, how systematic has Ordina been converted? Because it's one thing if like you're just occupying the town and stuff like that, and you're using it, right? Because then you could theoretically have slaughtered everybody and then made it your thing. But like, if the idea is that like, you know, oh no, they're actually like building and renovating their city and stuff like that, then I can see that being where there were like mass converts here. I thought that it was not built for Halig Tree, but something that was there before. Again, that would go into if there was something here before that would be relevant for this bridge, before the Halig tree, then yeah, that would also give more credence to the idea that it's probably not, it wouldn't be for anything related to Mikula or Trina, right? Again, this is where the question is, like, a lot of the history kind of hinges on how we're meant to interpret those reliefs there and this bridge in general, right? This, I'm pretty sure, is supposed to be Moog. I'm pretty sure the idea is supposed to be these are the results of Moog kind of coming through here. Because I can't think of any other scenario that would lead to part of this town being reduced to ruin. I just can't think of any single opposing force. Unless, and this is like a big if there was some sort of battle between Melania and Morgoth's forces, or Mikula and Morgoth's forces, or what have you, that's the only case, is if Morgoth for whatever reason decided he was going to bring an army here. I struggle to think of that, but I also am not entirely certain how amenable Morgoth would be to Melania basically being like, hey, can I go send my forces over to get Radon? Like, he might say yes early in the Shattering just because he'd be focused on Rykard, and he, quite frankly, probably would prefer if Mikula and Melania are ostensibly still loyal to him to try to clean things up and keep the Civil War, you know, what's the word? Civil War, you know, what's the word? Small scale, you know, more like a blip. I believe Moog is in a city. You're talking about in general, or in this case with this town here? And Morgoth too? Okay, I'm going to assume you mean for this town specifically. Yeah, I struggle. If you got, if it isn't Morgoth, or I think more likely Moog, I don't see who could possibly be responsible here. This is the only thing that really kind of makes sense, because Moog clearly, the idea is supposed to be that Moog and everybody has like their little warp gate here. They basically kind of invade from their little outskirts over here. And this seems to be the best reflection of that, is some kind of conflict that led to some destruction or whatever as they forced their way over to the Halig tree. Or maybe he was fine with Mickey becoming a god. I doubt that, because... See, I doubt that because the idea would then be that Mikula might not want to keep the Erd tree around, especially if Morgoth was aware of the Halig tree. So, like... I would really struggle if that was the case, to see why Morgoth would be okay with that. I could see where maybe if the idea is that Morgoth was ignorant about the Halig tree, did not know about it at the time, maybe then he could be kind of like, okay, I don't care. But that causes problems though, because it's like, oh, you don't want to be Elden Lord, you actually want to be a god now? Like, again, I think the problem is that everyone was part of alliance of shard bearers to basically try to figure out who the Erd tree would end up accepting, and whoever that was going to be able to become Elden Lord. So the big problem with anything regarding a revelation about like, oh, the true intention was to be a god or whatever, is like Morgoth loses any reason to believe anything Mikula is then saying. He's not really actually interested in becoming Elden Lord or anything. Like, he was basically leading Morgoth and everyone else along, like everybody else was. Like, that's gonna create major problems for his like, again, we're already talking about a guy who's paranoid, who considers them all pillagers, who has no love for any of his siblings, half or otherwise. So like I think that's a tall ask. I think it would make most sense that Morgoth's just, again, Morgoth, Mikula and Melania live in Leyndell with Morgoth, at least up until the events of the Shattering. So at the very least, he probably would be most familiar with them. Obviously, their homes would be the most affected by the start of the Shattering, when like everyone's getting attacked and stuff like that. And they're the ones that are most likely to be able to ingratiate themselves to Morgoth by being like, listen, we're all together, we live here, we're trying to play ball and all this. It's these other people, Godric and Radon, who are causing all these problems. So I can see under those circumstances, Melania as an independent agent being like, hey, I got my army here, how about I go out and I will, on your behalf, Morgoth, go and deal with Radon. And obviously doing his own thing for Mikula's doing his own thing with Melania. They're conspiring for the purposes of getting Radon roped into becoming Mikula's consort. So under those circumstances, I can see how Melania is allowed to pass either to leave Lanedale with her army or pass through with the army, because it depends on whether or not I assume the army was already at the hailing tree, because what's his name, Finlay, is able to drag her ass all the way back to it. So I have to assume like all of them were already stationed there and familiar with it, so then they go basically just walk their way out. So under those circumstances, then I can see Morgoth being like, okay, Melania, I'll let you pass through. Go deal with Radahn. I don't care. We're not going to have to fight, right? And then you have Melania's big undefeated streak where she defeats the Cuckoos going through here. She defeats Godric when Godric decides to try to screw her over. And then she goes and fights him with Radahn, and we know that she technically doesn't lose. Technically, it's not her defeat. It's a draw. I mean, I guess you consider her win if you think that, like, you know, she basically forced Radahn to retreat. So technically that's her victory. But, like, she didn't really accomplish her objective either. So it's like, I guess it's a wash. So yeah, taking that all together with the demigods, I think Moog would make the most sense here. Being like, okay, Melania leaves. Where is it? I think it's like around like here-ish, right? Something, I think, in like this quarter. Okay, they then like warp it. Okay, we're gonna go grab Miquella, fight our way through, force our way in the hailing tree, go and grab Miquella right away, get out, exit through the same way that we were coming out, and then bada bing, bada boom. You can even make an argument if you want to say like somehow they were able to get like a warp gate or something inside of here and like just warp into Miquella, because they still have to fight their way out, and then you can make an argument that they fought a little bit at Ordina and stuff like that. But either way, the point still stands. That's the only time I can think of where there's been any conflict that would cause this kind of destruction, right? Oh, all right, so that was a bit of a side tangent. I got asked about the apostate derelict and I ended up on this. Like, God, what am I? Yeah. Like I said earlier, though, I think the interest for me with this noble lord here makes a lot more sense, because the idea is like this was the praetor of Volcano Manor, and then he basically got kicked out and became a minor lordling inside of Rykard's now territory. I could see why he would have a grudge that he would try to get an assassin's talisman and hope to basically defeat Rykard and essentially take over as like the Lord of the Fire Mountain. I don't get it. We have 3 Empyreans. Didn't they mean to reach godhood? So actually after 2 battles, she's younger, blind, missing an arm and a leg, and she still kind of wins? I assume that the idea for Ranni, Miquella, and Melania... Again, Melania just does whatever Miquella says, so really it's just Miquella and Ranni. Ranni's intention, I can very easily see being, okay, I was not expecting this with my mother, but it would probably be good if I take this great rune. And then when she gets like the full story and the background, she's like, okay, she and what everyone else involved, like Rykard and basically everyone who was conspiring would basically be thinking, oh, we can use this as leverage to basically keep anybody else from accessing the Elden Ring stuff, because obviously Ranni has her own plans with the Elden Ring and trying to essentially take it away from the world. You know, deprive them of any ability to control any of this stuff and stop, you know, this endless madness, as it were, right? That's her intention. And she essentially will accomplish that if she's just able to obviously sever herself from the fingers and do blah, blah, you know, all that stuff, right? Like, she just needs to be able to deal with all of that she has. And she doesn't fully accomplish that by just, you know, having her soul separated from her body. So with the fingers needing to be slain, and until she figures out how to do that, her best move has been to basically, you know, just delay. And obviously once the shattering breaks out, it no longer matters. Everyone's fighting in civil war and stuff like that. Eventually she could just discard the great rune because she doesn't need it anymore, and she can just focus on her own mission while everything's in turmoil. For Miquella, I imagine the idea is that because Radahn wants to become Elden Lord and stuff, he is able, with the help of Melania, have 2 different demigods who are able to essentially contest that with the others and be able to keep it so Radahn doesn't end up becoming Lord to Marika, because he wants Radahn to fulfill his promise and become Lord to him. So I think that's probably what's going through all the different demigods' heads. All of them want to be able... same thing with Rykard. Rykard's got his blasphemy thing going, and so until his blasphemy stuff is ready, he just needs to delay. And that seems to be the idea. Outside of Radahn and Godric, again, very, or actually say Godefroy is like a little bit of a, Godefroy is probably also legit. I would say the same for Godric and Radon. Like, there aren't a lot of demigods on Morgoth's Alliance Council that actually want to become Elden Lord. Obviously, Mohg does too, but he's not part of it. He never got a seat. He just wants to do his own thing underground. So overall, I just don't think, oh, damn it, I screwed that up. Overall, I just don't think that, the whole Empyrean thing kind of mattered. Like, I'm sure it was like a bit interesting for the 3 established Empyreans to basically all say, oh no, we don't want to be gods, we want to be our mom's consort. Damn it, messed up again. Times 5 speed is no joke, man. Anyway, I'm sure that was like, I'm sure that raised eyebrows, but if they're insisting that they want to become the Lord or whatever, and they're doing so, like, what is anyone gonna do? Like, it's like, oh, okay. And as long as they can spit a good enough lie and reason, I mean, it's not hard, right? Because with America essentially out of the picture, you can make a case for, that anything they want to accomplish as gods, they could theoretically also accomplish as Elden Lord, right? You could definitely make an argument there. Now, obviously, Miquella wants to go much more extreme. Melania just does whatever her brother wants, and Ronnie, quite frankly, doesn't care. Because obviously her plan doesn't involve any of that order shit. So, the way I see it, it seems like the question is just like, how good were Ronnie, Miquella, and Melania at convincingly lying? That it wouldn't really, what's the word? It wouldn't really kind of unite anybody into being like, okay, we need to get rid of this person. They're not serious. They're just here to stall or whatever, right? They're just here to make things more difficult for all of us. At the very least, it has to seem legit. And I think it'd be very easy, especially for someone like Miquella, because he can still advocate for all his pure gold nonsense. There we go. While saying that he, oh no, he just wants to become a lord, right? This is what he wants to do with his mother as the god, not him. Now Mohg obviously also, like Miquella, doesn't want Marika to become god. He wants to start a new dynasty with himself as like the Elden Lord, and having ultimately decides on Miquella as being his god. And then he kidnaps Miquella, and then we know about the whole brainwashing stuff, and the rest is history. But yeah, at least it explains why there was that sudden interest in giving Miquella Omen blood specifically from and why Miquella was so interested in general for after getting abducted. It's like, oh, okay, because you want to go to the land of the Hornsent. You're trying to find that place, and you're using the cursed spirits in the blood to navigate your way there. That's cool. I can see how that works. And then. Yeah, like I said, it's a bit of a shame. Like, Melania's got, like, probably the most aura of all the bosses. Like, I think her design is probably the most memorable and iconic because it's got that Valkyrie, like, that very much that kind of, like, what's the word? It's very much got that, like, you know, Celtic look to it that I kind of wish was more pervasive in Elden Ring in general, right? Like, I kind of wish all of Elden Ring kind of had that, like, style to it, right? But like her character is really, really simple. Like, she's definitely probably the most simplistic of all the demigods. Mohg chose new mommy, sadly, but I believe Formless Mother kind of groomed him. I mean, yeah. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, when your mother is Marika, is it really grooming, or is it like just getting adopted? She's the one who abandoned him down there. She can't blame anyone if another god wants to pick him up. She's very iconic, memorable silhouette too. Yeah, just in general. I think the problem is just like all the interesting stuff about Melania has nothing to do with Melania, right? Like with Godric, there's a lot of interesting stuff with how he's kind of wily and, like, you know, trying to, like, climb his way to the top by any means necessary. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on there. With Melania, it's just like, I want to be strong enough to resist the rots. Oh no, I lost that strength to resist the rot in my desperation to basically be a tool for my brother. Okay. And then, like, I guess the character arc you kind of get with, through Millicent is, like, trying to restore restore Melania's will to resist the rot, which again obviously absolutely plays zero role in how the boss fight plays out anyway. So it's like, okay. It's like Melania's character is basically her reducing herself to just a tool, which I guess has something to it, but like it's not as interesting, I feel, as like the stuff with the Rot cult or the Kindred of Rot who feel abandoned by Melania, or you know, the blind swordsman who trains Melania and his history with the Rot, right? There we go. Yeah, I've checked every one of these. Nothing new here. Okay. Melania is perfect. I think design-wise, she is. I think she is. I think she will be probably one of the most iconic designs in From Software's library for a very long time coming. Like, she's definitely at least top 10, maybe top 5. If an enterprising MILF wants to pick him up, I would not describe a formless mother as a MILF. I don't know about you, but I'm not interested in effing the blood. Do not F the blood. Do not stick it in blood. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I feel like most of the stuff with Melania, like I feel even the Clean Rot Knights, the idea that they're seemingly trying to share in Melania's, like stand in solidarity with Melania sharing in her rot, like I find just a lot of that is a lot more interesting than Melania's actual character. Which is funny because she's like the core motivation for everything that Mikola does. Like Mikola's entire character ends up revolving primarily about trying to make a better world for his sister to exist in. Obviously, just make a better life for his sister in general. And he ends up being like such the more, what's the word, expansive character. I feel like Melania might easily end up being my shortest thesis, if not for, like, the only reason I could see it possibly being bigger than some of the others is maybe, like, I could see maybe beating Rykard depending on how long Rykard's ends up being, just because of all the ancillary stuff with the Rod and the Kindred and things, and like maybe Gowry and the stuff with Millicent. I'd probably put them all under that thesis too. Out of curiosity, where do you think Velka is during Dark Souls games? She's not in 3 and that's the end of the world, right? Is she dead? She's not dead in any of the games. In Dark Souls 1, she's in Karim. In Dark Souls 2, she's might or might not still be in Karim. It depends on how events as revealed in Dark Souls 3 transpire, like how quickly. Because it could be she's already in. It could be she's still in Karim in Dark Souls 2, but it's a little bit. It's, you know, there's a little bit more open. It could be, you know, she could be anywhere theoretically, right? Dark Souls 3, though, yeah, she's still in Karim. She's now Keitha. Now she just goes by her alias. But I thought that Melania becoming a god would have spread Scarlet Rot into her new age, and that's why she didn't want to become a new god. Well, yeah, that's sort of the point, is that she's trying to like, the whole point with Melania is that she basically spends her whole life trying to resist the Scarlet Rot and becoming the essentially the new goddess of Rot. There seems to be this idea that the outer god of Rot, the Scorpion, is a goddess, and she effectively tries to, I guess the word would be kind of mantle Melania as like to become essentially her avatar, or at least her vessel from which she will be reborn into, right? Again, it's a little, I guess we'll need a sequel to get some full clarification, but it's a little vague on if if Melania will essentially completely lose all personality, memory, soul, whatever, if she were to become the goddess. But anyway, that aside, point being is that the whole point is that Melania basically spends her life becoming, the whole reason she becomes this undefeated, most powerful warrior lady is because she's trying. Oh, actually, I do want a shot of this because apparently she has a unique skill here. So that's actually something I would like to see. Anyway, the whole point is that she's basically trying to, there we go. There we are. Anyway, she's trying to resist becoming the rock goddess. And that's everything about that is trying to cultivate her will to resist. But then that ends up buckling in order to, because she ends up prioritizing Mikola above herself. And she basically kind of goes like downhill from there. Because as we see, she ends up doing it again against us, trying to stop us, again, for the sake of Mikola. And so the irony kind of is like, Mikola ends up doing more harm than good to her in the long run. The tragic irony. There we go. Would Romina fall under Melania's thesis, or is it too early to say? Romina would probably get covered under... Oh. Okay, so here's the thing. There's the Ancient Civ and Ancient Dynasty, where I get the feeling I would reference Romina quite a bit, mostly to help establish backstory. And then there's, of course, the Hornsen stuff, and then there's the Mesmer stuff. Mesmer's a weird one, because most of the Romina stuff happens under his watch, technically. So, does that mean I'm going to have the bulk of the analysis there, or would a lot of it end up being covered in a backstory for Rao and the Ancient Dynasties and stuff like that? Or would it be something that I would cover more so under Hornsent to give the... Yeah, sorry guys, I just want to make sure I get this angle right. Anyway, or would it be something I cover more so under Hornsent, try to establish the Hornsent culture and the continuity from Rao and all that stuff like that. That would be my those would be my questions. Why you all got to be clumped like that? Like, where the hell are you? Where the hell are you stupid? There you are, you stupid ass dogs. What the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? You know how ugly it looks? Why are you two like walking side by side like this? You are not conjoined twins. Get the fuck apart already. Oh my god. This is what I have to deal with, chat. These dumbass enemies. They have no sense. No sense of framing. Of art. Anyway, so I feel like Romina's a weird case where she would probably be split between a bunch of stuff, and I don't know how extensive the splits would be. I could see it. I could see a world where most of Romina's stuff ends up covering Mesmer potentially. But it might end up being a thing where like Hornson and Rao would end up having a fair enough share that's really kind of split, like, you know, by thirds. And that would leave basically nothing for Melania. Like, I just don't see any situation other than a token mention of, oh, kind of like Romina. Oh, you know, like Romina before her. Like, I would probably have like a few of those sprinkled in there just to acknowledge the continuity. But like, it's maybe even make a contrast of what makes Melania different from Romina in terms of being Empyrean and the god thing. Like that, I could see myself doing that, but I just don't think it's Romina's that important to the story of Melania. I think Romina's more important for the story of the Rot, maybe the god of Rot, and the story of the ancient civilizations and ancient dynasties. But that's about it, I think. Well, what else has she to do? She became strong due to her constant fight with the Scarlet Rot. I mean, the idea would be, we know from content that there was this idea of Melania being the, I think they called her the Arbitress, right? But essentially she was supposed to be the mediator, right? The idea was that when they were going to have it where the boss fight was going to be you and fighting Melania and then Mikola blessing Melania for phase 2. So it was technically going to be kind of like a twin princes fight. You essentially have, Melania acting as kind of like the, I guess the way you could think of it as like the captain of the guard for Mikola as the new god king, right? That seems to be kind of the general idea. I could also see a world where Melania was sort of thought of as just a general, like kind of an enforcer or like a co-ruler almost. Just because Mikola seems to respect her so much, you can kind of see her at the very least as like a chief advisor. But it seems to be the general idea would be that basically Melania would simply serve as... Ah, damn. 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 I thought maybe Thought maybe I could kind of like turn myself around and dodge roll again, but I did not. That did not happen. But yeah, it seems to be generally the idea is that Melania is just Miquella's muscle. Again, she is the blade of Miquella for a reason. So I don't think that I don't think there was ever going to be like anything beyond that for her to do. Now, what does that mean for Melania now? I mean, it seems like the idea was basically until Miquella got back, she was just going to wait and wait and wait. Because that seems to be the whole point of the narrative, is that, you know, Melania knows Miquella will return, so she's just going to sit there and wait for him to get back like the good little girl she is. And then with that being established... There we go. With that being established, I imagine that she would basically, you know, if her brother like found a cure to Scarlet Rot or somehow would be able to free her of the outer god of rot, because it seems to be the idea is that that's what Miquella was working toward. I imagine the idea he thinks is that if he becomes a god and creates this beautiful kind order and stuff like that, he'll finally have the power, ability, and know-how to be able to basically purge the rot from Melania. And once that's, because again, it'd be hard for him to have a kind world if it's a world that is, if it's a world where, the rotted have to suffer and stuff like that. So at the very least, he's going to try to find a way to suppress it so that way it's basically a non-issue, right? That seems to be the general idea. There we go. All right. All right, Anastasia. I know. You're like, I had to chop off my legs. Now I'm chopping off yours. I will get my revenge. There we go. See, chat, this is how you do it. At least you would if the grass kind of annoys me, but whatever. A little bit lower, I feel. Yeah, something like that. She's so pretty to be just a blade. Hey, listen. She made her choice. She decided that she was going to be a tool. That's her problem, you know? Not my concern. There we go. I don't know much about phantoms and stuff like that, or how they work in comparison to Dark Souls or Demon Souls or anything like that, or even Bloodborne. Why are you taking pictures of her? Because of her unique skill she has. That's why. Like, that's really it. I learned that she does the 2-finger skill for this specific fight, so... I think she does Wild Strikes normally. Hey, buddy. Yeah, so overall, I get the, oh, God, just absolute domination. Sure. Where are you sending me? Where am I going? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Literally right next door. Wait. How do I know? How do I not know what direction to go to? Oh, no. Oh, wow. I'm way off. Okay. I'm really turned around. God, I can't believe I got lost in an open field. Obviously, yeah, so as I said before, I can't remember how many streams ago it was. If room bears are an indicator of dragons, this makes sense because the dragons under Caria are protected on the west side in Carian territory, so we only get the room bears over on the east side, where they would be more vulnerable. Dragons have been exterminated here, right? Like they've all become hearts to consume. So like we only get like the one room bear here, the one room bear there, probably leftovers, right? If Milady is the blade of Miquella, I'll step in and be the blade of Trina. Trina simps, rise up! You got a lot of them here because it makes sense. They get pushed off the mountaintop. They're I don't think we see any bears, even ghost bears, on the tips here. So the field makes more sense where there be bears for them to become to be eaten, right? So we got that there. Obviously, you have dragons in Caelid, but it's Caelid, so most room bears are probably dead. So we just get the one there and the one there, and that's it. Honestly, it's actually kind of surprising how few room bears there are when you look at. Oh yeah, there's also Earthboar Cave. There's the odd room bear there, but that, you know, most of them are concentrated here. You can have one odd guy that decides he's going to be a rebel and live on the south side. So that's all covered there. What other enemies would I want to be thinking about? Don't care about the stupid chipmunk things or whatever they are. Don't really care about the boars. Don't really care about they're not actually. Do we even actually have rabbits? I might care about the goats. The goats might be relevant depending on the exact connection stuff with Fulgur blooms and things like that. They also have the stupid rolling thing they do. So like I could see myself caring about goats. Obviously don't care about horses. Yeah, don't really care about deer except for ancient dynasty stuff because of the whole horn thing. Could also tie into Hornsen and things like that depending on how the specimen storehouse stuff shakes out. You know what? Moog and stuff being responsible for the destruction makes a lot of sense also because it also explains the stray dogs and stuff like that. Because obviously if you massacred everybody and caused destruction and stuff like that, then there's going to be strays and things that you can take with you. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think the idea was probably they took the town, massacred it, basically kind of turned it into like a temporary base. Moog goes in, takes Mikula, slips out, and then they all end up going home together. Oh, the dragonflies. Dragonflies are kind of interesting because they have the poison thing. And I don't know if the idea is supposed to be that, like, because do they attack you and inflict poison? I don't think so. Because the idea seems to be their head is useful for creating antidotes. So I imagine the idea is supposed to be because they're stingers, like how either like a paralyzing agent or something. Maybe it's like a weak toxin that you can then use to help give you some temporary resistance. Obviously, dogs, we've covered dogs. Wolves I don't think are that crazy to know about beyond the why they fly with storm power thing. The whole storm thing is the whole Stormwind thing is the biggest curiosity for me about them, but otherwise they're pretty straightforward. I guess also you can have questions about the exact origins of the direwolf boys, right? Not you. Where there we go. There's my buddy. There's my boyo. Just friends of old wolves in general, huh? Yeah. And then yeah, most of the stuff I can think of would relate back to like dragons and things. Like crabs I don't really need to talk about too much. Like it's pretty obviously established. They're scavengers, what they eat. They are what they eat. The fact that they turn silver here tells us about all the albinorks and stuff who've been coming through this area and leaving their stinking silver all around. It's polluting the water, the frozen ass water. Ah, I swear, these goddamn silvers. And then we've got, like I said, bears and room bears. Those are connected, so like that's not really that crazy beyond what we already got. And I'll talk about room bears probably in Farm Azula. Yeah, deer seem to not be important until they are when it comes to like Hornsen and stuff like that. So I don't feel like there's anything crazy there. Oh, you know what? What are those stupid these stupid guys? I know this is like supposed to be like a real sea creature or something like that. I forget what it is. What do they call them in English? The land squirt or whatever. I can't remember what the can't remember what the JP term is, but it's for some animal that I've never heard of before. This thing's a bit mysterious for me. Not so much like its general ecology. Like, I get the idea. It's like it prefers moist areas. It seems to like absorb like algae and stuff as a bottom feeder, and then it like, you know, takes any of the poisons and stuff that it eats along with it and is able to filter them out and then extinguish like so. And then I'm not entirely sure why throwing poison knives are able to cause it to explode. I guess the idea would be that it overloads its filter thing and causes like an imbalance. So it's maybe one of those things where it's very carefully, delicately, what's the word? Excised. And that causes it to explode from inside when it has some leakage or anything like that, maybe. Or it's like, oh no, that's too much. Or no, that adds too much. We haven't properly filtered that out. But then you have the giant ones, right? So you have the giant one in the Mountains Catacomb, which again, I don't think is that weird because it's America. I'm sure she was pulling a prank. She could have easily gotten one of them from down here when she was making her alliance with Karya. The problem I have is like, why do we have the giant ones here? That makes sense in Caelid because everything is bigger in Caelid. But what the hell is like making these guys get so big down here? Like, is it the crystal in the water? Like, is there like just a bunch of, are they like taking up the bulk of the crystal stuff and the rest that happens to come down river and build up into the various, you know, little crystal formations we see is just like, you know, due to time? Are they just kind of feeding themselves off all that? I don't know. So Melania slept this hard when Moog took Mikola. We don't know how long Melania slept, except however long it took Finlay to get back to the Halig tree. So like maybe a few days or weeks. I mean, you know, it's, you know, sleep, quote unquote. You know, she was really rendered unconscious after exploding with the whole Goddess of Rot powers, which is probably the first time she's used it potentially ever. But Mikola was with Melania when they fought with Radon, right? Because the Freya told us. No. Mikola is already abducted by the time this is happening. Mikola is already not part of the Lands Between when the Shattering ends. It's like Mikola's already doing dimensionals hopping stuff. I don't know if he makes it to the realm of shadow per se by this point, but by the time Melania is finished off with Radon and stuff like that, Mikola's not, you know, in this world, as it were, right? Like, he's already, like, you know, dream sleeping his way to other places, right? He's astral projecting. That's why his rune is the only one, besides Ronnie's, that doesn't get... Because Ronnie obviously was never a participant in the Shattering period. She just kind of, like, fucked off somewhere. She was never involved in the first place. And Mikola was over in, you know, whether it's, you know, Trina's dream realm or whether he was already in the realm of shadow or whatever, right? He was not even technically in the Lands Between, when the Shattering had concluded. So there was the Greater Will had no incentive to take away the benediction from his great rune and throw it in the towers. Didn't Freya told us that Mikola healed her when Melania went to fight Radon? No, that's after. Okay, so what happens is... This is an important thing to clarify. Trina and Mikola both start appearing afterward when Mikola's already been abducted, right? So during the Shattering, Mikola gets abducted. He starts going around into other dimensions, whether it's Trina's dream thing or he already finds the realm of shadow and goes like exploring on Torrent, what have you. He goes in and checks in, doing his little astral projection shit to go check in on the whole state with Mikola and Radon, with Radon and Melania and all that stuff, right? And what he ends up finding, of course, is like Freya and stuff, because the Church of the Plague, as we see here, the Church of the Plague is where it seems like a lot of rot disease and stuff was being handled. And what do you see? A lot of Mikola's blood got spilt here, right? So Mikola came here, and this is likely much similar to how we find Millicent. That's probably how he found Freya. because Freya ends up getting injured by a Clean Rot Knight, or maybe even Melania, who knows, and that she ends up getting the big scar on her face, which infects her with the rot. And then Mikola comes in and is like, "Ah, I will heal you." So this is the point being made there, is that Mikola and Trina both are going around spreading their faith or whatever have you, right? Spreading their influence after Mikola's already been abducted. And basically they're all doing it through like this astral projection stuff that Mikola's clearly able to do. And then, as we know, eventually he basically stops doing this. He's focused entirely on the realm of shadow. And by the time that we get there, he's already like well on his way to removing all of his body so he can enter the shadow tower, because Mesmer's being stubborn and refuses to, you know, just let him in. He refuses to break the seal. He's like, no, I don't care if my mother's being awful and is making sure that we're all basically screwed and we did all this shit for nothing. I'm going to keep to her original orders. I'm literally listening to you like a professor before an exam. Well, there is no test for FromSoft lore, thank God. No, yeah, he is. Yeah, again, he is. Again, this is the thing we have to kind of understand. Mikola's kind of just weird, right? Mikola / Trina are both kind of weird because they are using, whether you want to talk about it as dreams or what have you, like they have a means of which allows them to go around and communicate and do things on their own separate. So like he does, like Mikola doesn't need to be, here we go. Like Mikola doesn't need the physical body that exists here in his cocoon to be moving around. This is just his flesh. It doesn't matter. As we can see, because of what he's doing in the realm of shadow, it's also able to lose its blessing and just become this age, like, you know, it's no longer, it's not this forever young golden corpse. It's now like this knockoff Morgott, right? Right. And the whole point is that Mikola in this body got seriously injured by what's his face. Oh god, I don't remember what his name is now. You know, but basically the captain of the Pure Blood Knights, right? So Mohg's captain of the guard, essentially. He realizes that Mohg is basically like acting really weird and that he's essentially been brainwashed by Mikola, tries to essentially, as we can see here, especially with the wound of the cocoon and stuff, to try to essentially stop Mikola and all these things and try to free his master. Ends up seriously injuring Mikola, but Mikola is able to also get him under brainwash control. And then basically afterward, he more or less abandons his body and goes completely to the realm of shadow and stuff like that. While Mohg is still desperately trying to get Mikola's attention by continually supplying him that blood and stuff, not realizing that he's outlived his purpose. And then, of course, once Mohg gets killed or what have you, and he ends up being free, which I'm not sure if the idea was that Mikola was always planning to kill off Mohg, or he just took advantage of the fact that, hey, you know, I could use another powerful demigod corpse for my beloved soul to have him, you know, get reincarnated as or what have you. So I'm going to just take advantage of what this nice tarnish did for me. Not sure if it was that or if he was always planning to like send his people in, like, hey, Led, I need you to go and kill Mohg for me. Like that could have been the plan at some point, but who knows? And then after, you know, like I said, by the time we arrive there, Mikola's already like well onto his plan. And then he's able to get rid of his rune right as we approach Shadow Altus. And then he goes to head into the tower once he has the last of his body gone. So, yeah. It's one of those weird things where we have a character who is technically doing stuff while other events like with us are happening, so they're like active in the world still, and events are kind of happening like alongside with us in our journey. But because the way that the From Software games are, it's kind of this awkward thing where it's like there's never a possibility you could ever cross paths with Mikola, because if you try to rush it, like obviously the game will just force the state where it's like, okay, Mikola's does it, you know, 10 hours earlier than when in your first playthrough, when you you know, just kind of explored around for a while before checking in on it, right? I guess you could say that's true for all bosses, right? Like, there's always like something like Godric's never gonna graft that dragon head on him by the time you go and see him. Like, it doesn't matter how much shit you do in the meantime. That man is just kind of like, you know, kind of just lovingly stroking that dragon for God knows how long. Anyway, so yeah, Miklah's one of those characters I'm probably not going to work on for a while as well, but it's mostly because there's just so much shit going on with him. Like, he's one of those characters where, like, especially with the DLC, like, there's so much. Like, let's be getting into, like, his adventures through his youth and things like that. By comparison, I think I very much prefer, like, a Rykard or a Melania. But Melania, I think, is going to be the very last demigod I work on, just because, like I said, she's one of those that I think is, like, the most boring characters of them all in terms of just, like, simplicity of it, so. And I don't think I want to, like, work on the cult stuff either with her and or her clean rot knights and things, especially with the blind swordsman, because I feel like I need a better context of ancient dynasties and stuff like that, and like the Lake of Rot and things like that, and trying to get real good context on what exactly is going on timeline wise with that before I end up like going any further, as it were. Oh well. All right, guys, I think it's a good time to wrap things up. I feel like I have talked. I've definitely run out of things that I really want to get screenshots for right now, because I really have nothing left to really do at the moment in terms of content. Astrologers, like, maybe in the future I can check what I have for astrologers and we can go through, but I'm pretty sure, at least when it comes to like the pine trees and stuff, we got all our conifers documented. Maybe Rhea Lucaria, I can get more stuff that I want, but what would it be? I have to double check that. That I would have to check. Maybe more stuff on Celia. Not really. I don't see it for Celia either. I feel the same way about Nox stuff. I feel like I already have covered all the Eternal City reference images I would want. So I don't think I really would care too much about that. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna, you know, we may end up just finally getting back on my backlog of stuff I need to catch up on in the meantime for other games. I need to get some more HSR story finished. Probably want to go back to doing Trails in the Sky remake as well, with SC coming up soon, quote unquote, right? What's today? Oh, it's February. God. We have like 6 months or whatever. I'll never get it done at this rate. But yeah, like, we'll probably be doing more of that stuff here, unless I can think of anything else that I really wanna cover right now. Yeah, okay. That'll be how it goes. Until then, guys. We don't get much of Melania. Yeah, Melania's gonna, like I said, Melania's a character I'm not gonna do. Miklah's probably also gonna get pushed back. So I think, like, next stuff I would work on would be astrologers, Rykard, Eternal City / Nox, Farm Azula. That's another one I would really like to get done probably first and earlier, especially considering, like, Farm Azula is such an important thing, like with the farm colonies, with some of the stuff with Rao, even some of that stuff would tie in there. Obviously some of the stuff with the Realm of Shadow and things going on with the Bale and all that stuff with Age Dragon War and all that ties in. So, like, all of that I'd probably be working on, like, first, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon because of, like, you know, everything else that I got on my plate. So also, the dog's been quiet for a little too long, so I'm a little worried. So gonna go check it on her, chat. See you guys. Be safe. Bye-bye.